come in to for I think it came from George.
George emailed it to Ellen and I this afternoon, and it just come in, so.
It does.
We're good agenda, so if you were talking about it.
And I heard that Jessica, because of you said,
Yeah.
Jessica doesn't be there too.
Or just as a protocol, whenever something like this, shouldn't we be getting committee advice on this? Well, police committee advice on this?
Came through the police.
But it's. It was real record.
Okay, heard him on?
We haven't started.
Yeah,
Correct.
George.
Is he not coming?
He's in the back room.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm glad what these were on.
Yeah, I think he's speaking with someone.
Everybody.
All good.
I don't care how we get around my concerns, but you know that usually.
I will call this November 17th meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. Please rise for the pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have both our agenda and packet materials we got on Friday. And as is very common when our meeting is a week early, we have additional agenda items that we will be trying to include as we go along in the proper place in our agenda. But if I miss anything, just feel free to speak up. Is there any, doesn't look like it. There's public comment? No, okay. We will move on. The agenda says correspondence. In your additional agenda items, you do have a thank you letter from our Deputy Clerk, Marcia, thanking the board and everyone for the bouquet of flowers. It's a really beautiful note. Public hearings, we do have one this evening, and it'll be opened at 6:30. It's relative to a proposed parking changes in Doubleday. Review of minutes. I move that we approve the October 27th, 2025 meeting minutes with corrections submitted. second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, I was not here.
All right. You got that, yep. Permits, none. Those of you who read through the minutes from last month and we approved like 10 permits and it took maybe 45 minutes and we all concurred that sometimes the public can be better served if it doesn't require board approval. Historically, often the office staff would approve many of those, particularly if it didn't involve a road closure or something like that. So thank you. I think that will hopefully expedite things a little. ZEO's report. And there is an amendment to subdivision law that is being proposed.
So this amendment comes from the zoning working group. It was particularly put forward by Jean Berman, who chairs our planning board. It is intended to provide an abbreviated process when there is a lot line adjustment as opposed to a full subdivision. So in a subdivision, someone's dividing, in a lot line adjustment, they're just adjusting where the line is between two properties that may have two separate owners or may be under the same ownership. So this changes two definitions in that regard. And then it also provides for this abbreviated process when the lot line adjustment meets the minimum lot area, the minimum lot width, and the minimum yard requirements. So I can make a motion to set a public hearing at our next regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting to amend the zoning law, Chapter 245, subdivision of land.
I'll second it, but Joe, you have a
So in the case where I know exists right in my neighborhood, where there are two properties, neither of which is minimum lot size. And yet one might seek a lot adjustment.
They would-
That would not be permitted if.
They would have to go through the full process as opposed to this abbreviated version.
But so is our. Ultimately, is our policy to permit lot line adjustments that would still be. Either or one or the other or both properties less, with less than minimum lot size?
No,
That is not our policy.
correct. So all of this does is create a shorter procedure. It doesn't change any of the policies whatsoever. Currently, a lot line adjustment requires a full subdivision review. So this is saying, not in the case you described, but in a case where all of the zoning conditions are met, that there could be an abbreviated process. In your case that you described, there would need to be a full review because there would be a non-conformity involved.
Can I ask another question? What's the minimum lot size?
It varies by zoning district.
Okay.
And I would have to look them up, which I'm happy to do, but they are larger on the outskirts of the village and then they get smaller in the core.
One of the minimum lot sizes is 5,000 square feet, I think, for residential.
I would not want to speak to that without looking.
Yeah.
It's not.
You're now on record.
I believe.
All right, any other questions? The motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And I think most of you know that we didn't get the draft minutes because there was no ZBA this month. And then both HPARB and Planning Board are scheduled for tomorrow. So you can.
Also fire
Yeah.
is scheduled for
Right, but well, just speaking about zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. And so you can always tune in with your, as you sit on the couch and watch those meetings tomorrow, long distance. Motion to accept the ZEO's report by George, second by Audrey, all in favor.
Aye.
Moving on, public safety, the fire EMS report is in your additional agenda. and the police is in your original packet.
I'll start with police, so we can free up our officer here. I invited him to come sit with us for a couple of reasons. One, because we're gonna have discussion about the cameras, I assume. And second, there have been some questions about the lockdown drills at the schools. So I asked Officer Lanza if he would come and just explain exactly how those drills are conducted at the school and what measures are taken to minimize any trauma that the students might experience. So.
Great, thanks, Jess.
Nice to see everybody. Congratulations to the new board member. I haven't seen you yet. Welcome. Nice to see everyone. Officer Alonzo. George has asked me this afternoon about the lockdowns, which conveniently there was another rescheduled one this afternoon. So as I was explaining, we were invited directly from the school district. These are not our drills. So we have a really great working relationship with both elementary school, which is in our jurisdiction, and the high school. So we receive their schedules in advance. I have them, which are secured and they're posted for the officers, and we get quite reminders probably a week in advance from the respective principals. I understood the concern that George was bringing to me that previously the lockdowns were quite aggressive, I would say. We have not experienced that, and from the ones that we've had scheduled that we've been privy to, because again, we're shadowing the staff. So I shadowed Amy Malcuria, the principal. They're very well orchestrated, where we're checking our keys, ensuring that we know the floor plan, making sure our issued keys by the school district work. She knocks on the door, identifies herself, and also whoever member is with her. So in my case, she's like, this is Miss Malcuria and Officer Alonzo, and we confirm that the doors were secured as they should to their policy, and inform them that the lockdown is clear. They're gonna hold it in place until the announcements go over. So, and there's no hard knocking, there's no extraordinary sounds going on. It's actually, all the other staff were like, this is the quietest time that the school all day. So it gives us the opportunity to meet the face and actually see those other staff members. We go through, and then once we clear, we kind of stage at the front lobby and then get all the students coming by. We give many high fives because they're all coming over to us. So it's definitely a positive event. We keep that light especially for the elementary school. We were requested, and today state police also attended. We were kind of going with the principal. State police had broken off just to get familiar with the school. We were asked to go to the high school's event. So I said, well, I have been there multiple times on emergency calls, so we go through the floor plan as well. That was another successful one. We're just getting familiar with the staff and seeing that the policies are followed across the board from their side. But I get to just confirm we are the invited guests. I believe that in the past they might have done those without us, but it's good that they're including us in these events, and it leaves everyone with a successful result essentially. So
That's wonderful. I'll let, if anybody wants to ask any questions, but again, in your public safety report, it was also noted, these are mandated by New York State, just like fire drills in our schools. And so we really appreciate your.
this was from the field because some of the students had to go out to the track. And we went out and checked that area too. And I looked down and it had snowed. So, you don't normally have my uniform in such a manner, but that was from the track.
It looked, you didn't have to call it. I bet you it's not on camera.
Call attention.
Good question, Joe.
So in terms of this practice, it's the school's duty to conduct it.
Yes.
But do you have in the school's plan, do you, that is our police department, have a defined role?
Our role is to assist the staff. They are the primary agents. We call the principal, and for this event, they are actually the incident commander of the lockdown. We are not coordinating it. We don't schedule it. It's all we're their invited guests, and we just observe and have that relationship with them.
And do you have your own handbook to
Yes,
play your role? in
correct.
that? So
Yeah,
that's not
we have-
something that's made up.
No, yeah, we have a hard copy of their school's emergency plan that is labeled as confidential, but one's been issued to us from the school district. So we have that, correct?
And do you have collateral correspondence or communication with the state police? So that if you converge on the site, you're
That's
in touch
correct.
with one another?
That's correct. With part of the supervisory responsibilities. In our jurisdiction, which would be primarily the elementary school. The first responding officer or the head of the department would be the incident commander of a significant incident. We would coordinate all those other resources, so there's no animosity among those other ones, show up for one team. We have an understanding that even if our mutual aid agreement would be in play outside of the high school, for example, we would still be the primary responder and incident commander until the unified command is taken over by their lead agency.
So in no case is the school official the incident commander? Did I misunderstand that?
For the lockdown drill, they are the coordinator of it, for the drills, like with any drill. But in a real scenario, the village itself, we would be the incident commander, correct? And we have those relationships with all other agencies responsible. They know we would be primary unless. Yes,
With your primary at the elementary school, no matter
correct.
what, who is supposed to be primary at the high school? Or is that not clear?
That will, due to the fact that there's concurrent jurisdiction between the state police and
Sheriff.
sheriff's office.
Yeah.
It would be, from what I understand with our 911 center, the nearest patrol,
The first responder from those two,
correct.
okay,
And then and more than likely, we are the first responder, but whichever next unit comes in, whether it's state or county, they would be the one.
they would then take over
Correct.
from you.
Yes, because they're within the town.
But from a practical point of view, you guys would be the first
Yes.
ones on the
And
scene.
they are aware of that, and that's why we'd like to have that relationship, because they're like, yeah, we don't see you all the time, but when we do see you, they know. a familiar
great.
face.
That's great, Jess.
Correct,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Any other questions? No?
I just had one last one. So there was a change in terms of the aggressive form of the drill to
Not recently, no. As far as I understand, and I was able. With change in position, this is the second one I was able to participate, the third one I was participating in. They've been the same, they've been consistent. I guess in previous. In previous. Jurisdictions or in other time frames, they might have gone banging on board, that's not what happens, and that's. My corporal, Kelman, he's been to many years of these. He's told me that they've not had any aggressive behavior like that. But I've tried in years behind. I'm sure there was. They beyond me that.
Mhm. And as long as you're there, Jess, we were handed this evening and it just came in this afternoon, I guess. So not everyone has had a chance to evaluate this application, but this is someone who would be applying for a part-time position with the police force. And as everyone knows, with the retirement of our police chief, and then we had an officer resign for other reasons. We are short-staffed in our police department, and the part-timers do help augment that coverage. So does anyone have any questions while Jess is here about this particular application?
have you had a chance to interview the applicant and
Oh, yes.
check with the references that are listed here?
Yeah, I have to do I get to complete the background, but Mr. Kittle was my instructor for my required DCGS criminal justice services supervisor. So I had a 3-week period with him, that we had quite a few one-on-ones, and presentations with him, and really get to know him during that time. Very impressive, I'm a police and fire instructor. He's, as a student from this instructor, he was very effective, dealing with everyone from 4 to 15 years of service. He was able to communicate that, so I was quite impressed with him. And once he started to inquire about part-time opportunities, knowing that I do have openings and I have been trying to recruit, our strategy is to get lateral officers that we don't have to necessarily train nearly as much. Just a side note, our officer that we approved part-time, Deanna Firebender, she completed her 60 hours of our FTO program, field training, and has been able to pick up additional shifts, and that was only within the last month and a half. So we're very happy because she has that experience. Mr. Kittle has even more experience, being a retired officer, but still qualified,
That's why.
and willing to.
So, never mind, I was wondering how we were getting them. So-
Oh, yeah. Yes, he reached out to me and he's actually working in SUNY Oneonta, wanting to create more of a connection to Otsego County. So being that, I said, we'll happily receive this, and I spoke with George about it, so I'm very impressed by it and eager to, and going without Kelman and the other staff, very excited to see his interest.
Great.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a question. What shifts would he be working?
So the part-time what we're doing are any of the open shifts that aren't currently covered, he'd be able to pick up.
So that will change
They're not-
from
yes,
week
they're
to
not
week?
assigned, right?
Okay.
You'd like the fact that when we part-time officer, we'd be able to take one if someone pulled out sick.
Right.
So it could be an evening shift, it could be a morning shift, a weekend shift. If there is an opening, they're able to pick those up and cover that tour coverage.
But he is still, is he full-time at SUNY Oneonta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So he has to work around that?
Yes. Yeah, fortunately, we've been obviously better with a little bit of the struggle we've had to cover the weekend shift. That's one that is quite common for him to be able to pick up, so when I explain that, they go, well, that actually works great, because Monday through Friday. We have fairly decent coverage. It's the weekends that he'd be able to participate in and still contribute to the force here.
Yeah.
All right. Any other? Oh,
As
yeah.
long as just, a related question, do you foresee the ability to spread out the shifts going forward? So we have less multiple coverage and more single coverage?
I would certainly like.
You know, I personally hate it when I see three guys on at the same time. I see no need for that in this community. And then we have empty shifts. That's what I'd like to know how you feel about that.
So from the experience that I've seen working all the different shifts, knowing the importance of having two members on was clear just last week when I had to approve a use of force to arrest a subject with a warrant, an arrest warrant out of the county. Only one officer was able to respond, which from my use of force investigation determined that he actually fled from the officer because there was only one person there. So from our safety point of view,
Right.
that was a part-time officer. Yes, it would still be working. If he were to be injured, that would be covered. But if I had two officers to respond to Bassett, he fled into the secured area of the nursing station while the ER was full, because he didn't want to answer to his warrant that we were requesting. So that's a prime example that happened last week, and I just signed off on the use of force today. Thankfully, there was no other than physical, there was no other force exerted. So he followed our policy and was able to minimize that. He didn't have to deploy any less lethal. But fortunately with his training, he was able to take him into custody with two members there. I 100% believe
I hear you.
we would be able to safely.
I'm more concerned about avoiding the 3-person shifts.
Yes, no, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I
Thank
think
you.
the ideal scenario would be for us to have two
Yeah,
two officers in each of the tours.
that is ideal.
Days and evenings, that's.
You understand my question, right?
But then it sounds simple on its face, but then you have vacation time and the like, so it's a little more wrinkly than it.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I understand. We are in this very interesting transition time with new staff coming on board and trying to get part-time, where unfortunately, I might have 3 on because 2 are dedicated to
training.
training.
One's training, yeah, I hear you.
So That, and again, that's something that might have to be worked out, but then long term, I'm able to get at minimum the one person on because they're part-time. But in the beginning, we're.
I understand that.
That's what I've been seeing.
I understand that. You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Any other question? No, no. Thank
I
you.
do, on the report, what does TRACS mean? TRACS?
Trax is the computerized system that's provided by New York State Police that we issue our traffic citations on, we issue our automated accident reports. And it generates other forms as required by New York State, but it's our computerized system that we have.
Okay, so this line at the bottom just means the computerized system now has an entry for electric bikes that they didn't have before. Is that what it means?
Sorry?
It says discussion was held on the personal injury accident, in the electric bike. Officer Kelman stated that electric bikes are now an option in the tracks.
Yes, so that was actually correct. We did experience a motor vehicle accident with a vehicle versus an e-bike.
Yeah.
Which New York State had changed some of the requirements in the reporting of the accident report, so that's related to the NV 104A, the New York State
So
accident
that's
report.
something new. Okay, thank
And
you.
if without that notification coming out.
Yeah.
To forward them probably completed.
Yeah.
We have to let them know when a vehicle. And an electric bike is involved in a collision. Correct,
Great.
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming,
you.
Jess. Really appreciate it. So we have the public safety report. Is there anything else, in addition you'd like to add or?
Not at this point, just, I did make notes of, the background on this respective part-time officer that we have, and his resume is extraordinary. We should prove to be quite an asset here for the village.
You would, we could handle it now if everyone's comfortable. Do you want to make a motion and then
That we look to hire him,
yes, Brian Kittle.
I would certainly make that.
I'll second that.
Second by Richard. Is there any further discussion?
The only discussion I have is for investigation.
And just to complete, we have a background packet that is suggested through DCJS, so we complete those on all the applicants, so. Not just a rubber stamp, that would be completed, correct?
Okay, well, subject to that being completed,
All right. Motion was then subject to completion of the background check.
Would be completed prior to swearing. So
Yep.
we would have that signed off, finalized, secured in the personnel folder before he is sworn in by the.
I'll second that.
All right, so there's the
Yes,
motion
that's-
and it's amended to include that caveat upon completion, successful completion of the background check. Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Do you want to go on to fire or was there anything else you wanted on public?
We can move right on to fire.
That's in the additional agenda.
Actually, our meeting is scheduled for tomorrow evening, so what I had is mostly statistical information, which is available on your sheet. Couple of things related to EMS that are of note. In addition to their response tasks, and that they're doing 6 of the Glimmer nights at the Fenmore Farms and covering all the football games. The children's holiday party is scheduled for December 6th at Pioneer Park. And kind of a really, really nice thing that I've been involved with in the last couple of years. On the 13th, from 9 to 5, the squad will be doing their annual food drive or price shopping, which is really a neat thing. Unless you're one of the people like me who gets involved in bringing the groceries downstairs at the food pantry, because they get a couple of thousands pounds of donations there, but it's really a wonderful evening. Kudos to the service for doing that every year.
Is there anything else?
That's it.
All right. Any questions? No? Motion to approve Public Safety Committee report by Audrey, second by Ollie. All in favor?
Second.
Other committee, reports, Doubleday Advisory, Molly's first meeting
It's my
out of the
first
gate.
meeting ever. It went pretty well. Thankfully, I had Jenna there to help guide me, so thank you, Jenna. So we had a couple people show up for that. Mr. Zach Kirpin kind of gave us a little bit of a lowdown about how the season went. I guess Doubleday is officially closed. They had approximately 478 games were played, which is up from the last year's 2024's total of 450.
Mhm.
And the big topic of our meeting was that Dave Fontaine from the Clark Sports Center came and discussed his plans for October 2026. He's planning the SEC and Big Ten baseball games. I guess he's taking care of that pretty much by himself. But Zach Crippen did say that he and the Doubleday Field staff would help take care of all the maintenance needs during that time. And yeah, that's really it. He talked about he would take care of his own staffing, ticketing, and concessions.
That'd be very exciting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
go blue. Michigan will be there, I hope.
I just had a question. If so this is gonna be an SEC baseball tournament. Have we figured out appropriate fees for that, or will there be? I mean, see, Mr. Crippen says he'll be tending to the field between games, but it's gonna be a pretty intensive use and they're looking for ticketed events and so forth, so I'm.
Our fall, September, correct me if anyone knows more than this, but our fall, September and October tend to be these league games where we rent the field like 4 days in a row for a particular program. So this doesn't seem all that out of the ordinary in some ways. We can certainly have, just double check with the staff. We've certainly got time before next October to make sure we have enough on hand.
The only thing is a matter of scale, I would say. They're planning for crowds that we might not.
Oh, you mean in the
Yes, so
stadium?
maintenance costs, cleanup, just maybe our own public safety folks.
Mhm.
So it sounds to me like it'll be a much bigger
Let
happening.
me ask
Mhm.
Molly about it. Molly, is this gonna be games or is this gonna be like a combine?
It hasn't submitted an application yet, this is simply informational, so further updates
Yeah.
are coming. No official documents have been submitted to explain exactly. Just kind of an opening.
So there'll be an opportunity.
Okay, thanks.
I was just gonna point out that the discussion of concessions makes me think that part of the application may be to close the parking lot. And if that is the case, that should definitely be noted. And that is where, as Joe indicated, perhaps an additional fee is in order because it would be a reduction in parking revenue. I think, Molly, it's also important for you to know, since you haven't done Doubleday a lot yet, whenever there are food trucks in the Doubleday Field parking lot, at least one local business is concerned that their toes are being stepped on if the same things are being sold in the parking lot that they sell in their bricks and mortar enterprise. So it's just something to keep in mind that there is some sensitivity there.
Okay, thank you.
And certainly, the food trucks are, private enterprises, but this suggestion to potentially use the high school as is done for induction weekend is certainly a great way to sort of soothe everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I'm
All right.
curious about this because these are D1 schools. Is this a higher caliber of play that we'll be seeing in October? So
Yeah.
that could mean, I don't know,
Well,
potentially.
I'm wondering because the season ends in June. So I wonder if this is gonna be competition or it's like all-star teams. I'm just thinking that through.
I don't know.
Or it's just gonna be basically looking at kids from the Northeast region
Oh,
and a combine, checking out skills and everything else like that.
so these schools
that-
might be
we don't
used
know yet.
for recruiting purposes.
Yeah.
We don't
Who
know.
knows?
It could be just, yeah. it
Who
just-
Well,
knows?
now you've heard the boards, you've had an informational meeting and now you can be fully prepared for subsequent, discussion of it. Thank you, Molly. Any other questions, comments on Doubleday Committee? No motion to approve the Doubleday Committee report? by Audrey, second by George, all in favor. Moving on, streets.
Yeah, so there are a few items in the streets committee report that we need to take action on. The first concerns the trolley. This is something that we discussed in executive session last month. Otsego County has now discussed the one bid that they received, but that was also done in executive session. So we will use some discretion in terms of providing a lot of information about that. What you likely recall from last month is that the cost to the village is likely to increase to between $20,000 and $25,000 per year. The county went out for a 5-year contract. We have also learned since the meeting from the county that if there is a desire for something other than a 5-year contract, then they would have to rebid for the trolley. They can't negotiate with the bidder. So my suggestion is that the Village Board of Trustees inform the county that the village would be unable to enter into a 5-year contract that places the financial onus on the village.
So that's your motion.
That can be a motion.
Second by Audrey. Any discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion, aye.
And I think we probably need to discuss at some point further whether we want to continue, the village wants to continue the trolley under a shorter contract, or whether we are interested in stepping away from that 3-part arrangement that we have with the county, but that perhaps doesn't need to be decided at this moment.
And I think it would hinge on if there were any other proposals for operating it, because if there aren't, then it is kind of moot. I think we do step away.
So is our encouragement for them to consider rebidding at a shorter term?
Yeah, just sort of supplement that question. The Hall of Fame and the museums have an independent interest, we know, in the operation of the trolley.
Yes.
And how are we figuring in that interest in terms of them
Yes.
paying?
So I reached out to the Clark Estates, who has relationships with a variety of entities, both nonprofit and for-profit, that benefit from the trolley. They have heard back both from the Hall of Fame and from Fenimore/Farm that the trolley would be missed, but there was not a lot more than that.
I see.
So no willingness to.
At this point, no. Doesn't mean it couldn't come in the future, but at this point, no.
Mhm.
So just to help with the discussion, is our interest greater than the museums and the hotel?
Our financial exposure is certainly much greater than.
I don't mean that, I mean, is
So
our.
we want it more than they want it.
Yes, do we see a value in that that's worth the cost? That's different or somehow, in addition to what the museums and the hotel feel, most of which are resident in the village.
Richard?
I believe what you're saying, Drew. You know, the trolley gets people around to those sites and not much else. It's not so much getting people down to the stores or other things. It's getting them to the Hall of Fame. It's getting them to the museums. So yeah, I think they actually have more of a need for the trolley than the village by itself. Removing those entities would.
Jenna, I realize this may be putting you on the spot, but one of the things that I neglected to ask you today was how many season passes we might sell, because that seems to be an indicator potentially of local use as opposed to one time.
Yeah. Minimal, I would say less than 50.
Okay.
Like it's not a huge number.
Yeah.
Are you talking about parking passes?
No,
No.
trolley passes.
Oh,
for-
Season trolley passes.
It's minimal.
Mhm.
I think we could have this discussion, subsequently.
Yeah, and the streets committee
Yeah.
could certainly make a recommendation for our next
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was trolley, which was listed first on your agenda. The second item is the South End project. You may recall that this is a three-phase project that begins with Delaware and South, and then includes Beaver, and then includes Chestnut. I would like to make a motion that we approve going to bid for the South End project.
Second. Any questions, comments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your last sentence in that first bullet, Cindy, suggesting adding a sidewalk connectivity, is that the issue I was discussing, or is that another kind?
No, that is exactly the issue that you were discussing, that in that third phase, when we're looking at Chestnut Street, it makes sense. This project is not about sidewalks, right? It is about the below ground infrastructure. It's about sewer and water and improving storm and then repaving the street. But in that Chestnut Street portion, I think it does make sense for us to think about our lack of connectivity and poor pedestrian crossings.
Right, and the
on that
specific area I
area.
was referring to was from the end of the south end of the CVS property across the frontage of Price Chopper, across the railroad tracks to where it then picks up at Walnut Street, the new
Yep.
sidewalk. That's a gap currently without a sidewalk.
Yes, that is exactly what that comment was about.
Thanks.
So motion was made and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
All right, third item for action concerns the New York Forward RFPs. You have two in your packet. The first is from, I always get this wrong.
Casserole.
Casserole. It sounds better the other way.
I agree.
Casserole.
We had a better pronunciation.
We did.
Sounds Italian the other way.
Yes. So I want to direct your attention to page 20 of this, and certainly we could talk about any questions that you have about other parts of this. But I would like to make a motion to indicate the Board of Trustees' intentions to enter into contract at the cost of $220,800, which is the amount that's listed for components 2, 3, 4, and it should say 5, not 2, on page 20.
You need a second for that?
Yes, Joe seconded.
Second. So a question about that goes back to, I don't know, what probably page numbers is, maybe the third, fourth page in, there's a discussion about, well, I had made my note just before section 2. We've lived with these, they were talking about pedestrian designs on Hoffman Lane and
What page are you on, Joe?
my notes are on page, that's not the word the thing is, just a second. That's
Page 2 and 3.
Yeah, so it's probably page 1 of section 1, project component 4 and 5, the Pioneer Alley and Hoffman Lane.
Okay, with the little checkbox at the bottom.
Right, and there are 2 paragraphs, there are 2 paragraphs. So before this gets too far, when we have them designed, I really do think that brick pavers are fragile and treacherous both. In the wintertime, they freeze up in ways that the sidewalk doesn't. They're very, very slippery. So the idea of having them bear the weight of vehicles, if it, in the both alleys.
I think we haven't even really gotten into that with this
Well,
problem.
I only was prompted to have that concern by what I was reading in
The last version of this plan only had the permeable pavers down the center strip where the catch basins are.
In the center of them.
Okay. I just want to keep that in mind because I think the bricks have been problematic in a lot of areas.
as was pointed out at our last month's meeting, there was earlier permutations of design, but that was because we had an engineering grant which funded the planning for an application for a green innovation grant project, a GIGP. When you go for that type of project, you have to show rain gardens, a lot of stormwater distribution. That's how you get your points and you get potential funding. We were not successful in that grant. And a lot of those components that were publicly aired in forums will not be incorporated, most likely in the redesign. We certainly will be addressing stormwater, et cetera, but there'll be no rain gardens or use of brick pavers other than in that drainage area.
And the reason I say our intention is to enter into contract is that this contract will have to be reviewed both by our village attorney, but just as importantly by the Department of State in New York State for funding purposes. So we can't yet authorize the mayor to sign the contract because it doesn't.
And this isn't the contract. This is still their
This is the
proposal. So we don't have the contract on top of that. All right. So the motion was made and seconded. No more discussion. All those in favor of proceeding with the Passero proposal, say aye.
All right. The other proposal that is in your packet is from D. Nicola Design. This is for component one, which is the signage. Financially, it is the smallest of the pieces. The good news is that D. Nicola Design is now certified as a woman-owned business in New York State, which is wonderful news. The bad news is that this proposal does not include a way to address the minority-owned business piece because it is being proposed by a woman-owned business. In talking with the Department of State, they have said that this is a small piece of the project. You might consider moving forward, knowing that you have to make up the minority-owned business later in the whole piece.
Oh.
If the board is comfortable with that, we can do that. If not, we can go back to D. Nicola Design and encourage her to continue looking for ways to include a minority-owned business and return to this in December.
Did she, I know we sent a list of the minority-owned businesses and then she kind of refined it to ones closer in a certain radius from the village.
Correct.
I thought it could at least go as far as Rochester since Passero's in Rochester. So I think there are others. I think I would be comfortable proceeding if there's a good faith effort, because if we have to go for a waiver
Right.
on our 30% MWBE component of this grant, we're dead in the water if a good faith effort was not made.
Yes, no, I think there needs to be a good faith out there. And I will know, I don't know if anybody else did the math on the Passero one, but they are close to meeting the MBE requirement. They are above 15% for their MBE requirement. So some of that would carry over to the other, but it doesn't quite get us to where we need to be.
A question for you. What is their definition of minority?
This has to be a certified minority-owned business in New York State. So it's not a question of whether, it's not necessarily a question about how one categorizes the owner, but whether they have received certification.
Do you know what it requires to be certified as a minority by the state?
I could pull up the list for you, certainly.
I'd like to know.
Sure. Yeah.
I personally never, I sometimes think, all right, yeah, never mind. I'd like to know.
Yep, I'd be happy to share it with you, Richard.
Mhm.
So I will make a motion to move forward with the proposal from D. Nicola Design pending the word you used.
Good faith effort.
Good faith effort to meet the MBE requirement.
Yeah. And that includes, keeping documentation of all the ones contacted.
Yep.
Et cetera. All right, so there's the motion. I will second it. All in favor?
Aye. All right, and then the fourth action item on your agenda is a letter that I drafted to New York State DOT on behalf of the Board of Trustees concerning the speed limit approaching the village. I'm certainly happy to entertain any wordsmithing that might be forthcoming. But I would like to make a motion to contact New York State DOT and also to contact both the Otsego County Planning Department and the Town of Otsego Supervisor to encourage them to send a similar letter to New York State DOT.
I'll second for discussion.
Mhm.
I recommend that we also, whereas now we have a 40 mile per hour, we go from 55 miles per hour to 40. The way this words, you would recommend going from 55 directly to 30. I agree with you where it's 40, it should be 30. I still think we should also recommend a further out buffer strip from 55 to 40. Otherwise, you're gonna get people zipping it at 55 and having to hit the brakes.
I think there still would be because I
There's-
think it drops to 40 before one gets
Yeah.
to Linden.
You're past grasslands, so it drops to that.
Yeah.
So it would be 40, so you'd be going from 40 to 30 and not.
So you go 55, 40, 30.
But I thought you wanted to go to 30 where we now have it at 40.
No, only a portion.
Only a
Yeah.
portion.
Only a portion of it, okay.
Yeah.
And I think the idea, and when we had our joint meeting with them about the project, they seemed willing to do that part, and it's cost free. They
Well-
just have to, we could even furnish. the-
Well, I would suggest that the wording next to the last paragraph specifically reiterates where you want it to go from 30, where you want it to go from 40.
Oh, okay. You want me to restate again
I
that
want you
it
to
that is
restate.
Linden North?
We therefore request, and that way they don't have to figure out what you
Yep.
mean,
Got it.
making it very clear.
Thank you, Richard.
So you're going to say south of Linden Ave entrance maybe, or?
I'll say north, right? North of the Linden Avenue extension.
I
Yeah.
would put it a little before, because that's where you're gonna have,
Just
south is towards Oneana, so you'd want it to already be slowing by the time someone pulls out of Linden.
so
Don't you believe?
before Linden.
So let's say,
Yeah, so that'd be south.
let's say 500 feet south of Linden Avenue. That's the equivalent of 2 city blocks or 1/10 of a mile.
Mhm.
Happy to do that.
That's a number they'll understand.
Should be to that speed. Presently, there's a sign directly on 28 south in front of the Cooperstown Optical. That's where DOT has one sign that is 40.
Yeah,
We've responded with, those fire department and us to quite a few wrecks around the curves going toward the former scholarship office. That's where it's all 55, but it is curvy going
Yeah.
up there to slow them down, possibly in that section before they hit the 30 at the Cooperstown Optical. That's where it is presently.
Well, what-
40 and then 30 at Boca is presently where it goes to 30.
Right.
what's the county route number that heads off to Hartwick just south of that?
11.
Napa is 11.
So maybe we should request it go down to 40 at 11.
It's already at 40 there.
And that's the Hamlet index, it is 40.
35.
Yeah.
No, before you hit me, going south before you hit Smith Ford. I'm not gonna change the name for my purpose.
I don't do traffic there, so I don't know.
But you,
All right. So does it make sense for the 30 to be at Cooperstown Optical and that we suggest a buffer of 40 prior to that before the curves?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the driveways of all those businesses and entities coming in at Linden, and since you get a lot of traffic and go cover up the Linden to 28. I do know this, I sit there quite frequently trying to slow cars as they're entering the village limit. I would suggest.
yeah, but
Would it be-
I'm just saying the former former site of the scholarship program office is more than 500 feet south of that.
Yes.
So, so pick a longer distance, say 1,000 feet. You want to incorporate that. That's why I picked 11, because 11 is just before the scholarship office coming from the south.
You're the 26. 26.
Whatever, you know, the one that heads off towards
Yeah.
Is it Hartwick?
No,
No.
that was to Doddsville and Clyde Creek.
Okay, the one that goes to Fly Creek, north of Smith Ford. That's where I'm saying.
That's a very good idea, and I will put that in the list.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would it strengthen the letter if it's easy enough for you to compile some accident incidents or a number?
I do have access to that from our, governor's office of highway safety grant
Great.
documents. I have full counting access, so I can specify that area, if that'll help.
That'd be
We
great.
could
That would be
certainly-
great.
I can get that to you tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. Very good.
Sorry.
All
Well,
right. So motion made, we've changed it, modified it, it was seconded. All those in favor of sending this letter?
All right.
And we will see that it's CC to the planning department and to the town of Otsego supervisor. Is that our particular, I was wondering, I actually had a conversation with DOT and they gave me a name and I was thinking if you put a name on here, it would be better.
sure. Yeah.
And that name is Tony, Tony Signorelli, Signorelli. And, you know, he has an email, it can go directly to him there.
Great.
Will we coordinate with the town of Otsego to get them to endorse this or even?
I would encourage them to send their own letter, wording it however they see fit. Same thing with Otsego County Planning.
I think that we're sending them a copy of ours so they can concur though and yeah. Do the home, we'll have done the homework for them.
Yeah.
Are you gonna talk to supervisor out there?
Mr. Fury?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that would help.
Happy to. Yep. One other thing I wanted to point out from the minutes, most of what we've covered was in the minutes, but under trees, I wanted to note the last bullet point concerns a rain garden cleanup that happened this Saturday. I want to thank the mayor and George, who were both there from the Board of Trustees, but I especially want to thank the youth of the Community Bible Church who came and did a lot of the bending and heavy lifting. And in 2 hours managed to get all of the rain gardens, the leaves taken out of them, the debris, the trash. They were really amazing. I'd like to write a little article for the Freeman's Journal, just a happy Thanksgiving article, because it was great to have the extra help.
It was an extraordinary effort. And I've gotten a couple of compliments from people in the village saying how good they look, what a great job everybody did. Those young people worked for you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments on street committee report? Motion to approve by Molly, second by Audrey, all in favor?
Aye.
Buildings committee.
Buildings Committee, the report is here. There's one action item. The Buildings Committee recommends to the Board of Trustees that the threshold on the main floor at 22 Main Street be repaired. It's cracking and I think collapsing. And as it is right now, a liability risk, and we've been notified that it's broken and collapsing. So we're now liable if something happens there.
Okay,
And we have an estimate of just under $1,000.
yeah, great. So
Motion.
motion second by, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Anything else, Richard?
Everything else is in the committee.
All right.
Can I just let people know there is now a red sticker next to number 2 in the elevator so people know to get off there.
Fine.
Oh.
And that was Richard's idea.
Yes, we used to put the floor, because I noticed someone said it's button 3 and it's level 3. And I said, yeah, but there's really no 3. So thank you for doing
That
that.
always confused me. I would have thought initially I thought the ballroom was the third floor, but
It's a fourth.
it
Yeah,
probably is.
it is,
Not the
yeah.
elevator.
But it doesn't correspond because of our partial to, floors out here, the 2
All right.
stairs.
Did you want
So-
to do public hearing too?
Which one's that?
The public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, I better. We got so absorbed in things. So did we approve the buildings?
Not in for.
Okay, I move to accept the Buildings Committee reports, second by George, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Yes, I will now open the public hearing for proposed parking. This is public hearing is now open for local law number 11 proposed of 2005. Amend section 270-14 parking reserved in designated locations. Double day, remove EV charging and Fowler lot, remove busted RVs. And as you recall, we now have 4 fully operational EV chargers in Fowler. So we no longer need the double day, very old ones. So I don't see any people, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, seeing no members of the public, I move this proposal as stated. To amend sections 270-14, parking reserved in designated locations, double day, remove EV charging, and Fowler lot, remove buses and RVs.
All right, motion made. Second by Audrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing closed. Thank you. Moving on. Oh, I probably should just follow up. Cindy asked, if you recall last month, we had a communication on the day of our October meeting from the Department of Transportation relative to the Chestnut Street project. And this pertained particularly to signage, and they had sent images of the signs. We all looked at that. We said, we have no problem with the pedestrian crossing, et cetera, or the speed limit. But I thought, I'm going to check on it a little more. We did have concerns with the street signs. Just so you know, probably most of our speed limit signs within the village are not the actual legal size anymore. The actual size is 24 by 30. So when they work in this area, they will replace our speed limit sign with a 24 by 30. We have not had to buy speed limit signs in decades, so we probably were not totally up to code in some ways. Mitch had no problem with that. He thought that would be perfectly viewable. What we did have a problem with were the street guide signs. And, some people said, well, it's green with white lettering. It looks nice. Okay, the size of these street signs is 5 feet by a foot. They're like my size hanging up there for a street sign, and that is what they would put up. And so we kind of, not knowing the size, we just didn't like the color. We didn't think that it looked like our kind of period metal signposts. I both spoke to him. I sent an email first and asked him to call me about it. He did call, spoke to me, and then, I followed it up with an email saying, we're in a historic district. We have HPARB, I stretch the truth maybe a little, that we have HPARB and Planning Board approve all signage in our village. We have uniform signage. We wanted what we had retained so that they knew they were entering a village and a community, et cetera. And the response I got was, he said, I discussed this matter with the region and we went back and forth, I will just say a few times. And my last email was basically, we will be returning our signs to this project area. It was getting ridiculous. And so the final communication was, I discussed this matter with the region and we've decided to retain the existing street guide signs. So we won that battle. So we will be retaining those and we won't have 5-foot street signs up in that area.
People will be driving slower, so they will be able to read them.
Yeah, that's right. They will. All right, so we approve streets committee report, okay, and buildings and everything. So treasurer's report, finance.
Yes, a few things to highlight. Last week I omitted, or last month, thanking and congratulating Christy Cook, our treasurer, and Jenna Hutter, our clerk, on their reports from their NICOM training, their full NICOM training, which they were thorough and I think very informative, and I think will enhance their ability to serve the village. So I want to make sure we recognize that. On personnel, if I can turn to that, we have 3 employment decisions to make. So one for assessor, one for zoning enforcement officer, and one for wastewater treatment operator. The zoning enforcement officer candidate is Nicholas Fernaro. The assessor, the candidate is Richard Maxwell, and Scott Holt is the wastewater treatment operator. I want to make a note about his proposed employment. He has 19 and a half years of service with the village from a prior period of employment. And he'd be returning to us, and one of his requests is that that time of service be recognized in vacation time for which he seeks 2 weeks. I recommend that we will move the approval of the employment of all of these candidates.
Motion made, seconded by Audrey. Is there any questions or comments? We're pleased to have Scott. He has been working at the City of Norwich wastewater treatment plant for past several years, but he did actually come back and help us during the pandemic when we were short-staffed. So great to have him back.
Would you accept the amendment to include the request by Scott?
Yes, about the
You
vacation.
didn't state that in your motion.
Yep.
So we haven't.
Yep. All in favor?
The second thing I wanted to report was at our finance committee meeting, we met with the village's auditor, whom we had retained last year on a 1-year contract to perform the audit. And it turned out very well. He was very complimentary. He was especially complimentary of our treasurer and her ability to produce all the information that they requested. She was very well organized and maintained the continuity that Deb Guerin had established as her predecessor. So he went out of his way to compliment the smooth transition from one treasurer to another. He said usually there are a lot of issues that arise with them, but so, and he's going to be producing not only we got a clean bill of health in terms of any deficiencies, but he's also going to amend his report to include some best practices suggestions for us. This will complete the 1-year contract, and in our meeting, we discussed the advisability of soliciting or issuing an RFP next year, which I think is a good idea, not because there's anything particularly concerning about this auditor, but they themselves are going to be experiencing some senior personnel retirement. So I think we need to give ourselves an opportunity to look at the field again. But we did get a good report on our audit. Did you want to add anything about that?
Nope, that was great.
Let's see. Oh, the other, I guess I'm going to move to compliment Christy Cook, our treasurer, went out of her way to contact people who were going to be subject to re-levies for either property taxes or water and sewer payments. And she was able, just by friendly reminders, to slash the outstanding delinquencies. People had just forgotten. There are far fewer scofflaws than the reports in the paper might indicate. And she said, look, I'd like to avoid having people embarrassed because they forgot something. So she did a great job in getting money in that came directly to us rather than having to go through the re-levy process and go later. So.
Yeah. So our property tax re-levy that we're sending to the county is about 35,000 less than it was last year. One of the main things that people forget, of course, we're about the only taxing jurisdiction that allows that half payment in June and then in August. And many people pay the June and forget about the August and are mortified that they did so, but that we picked all those up.
Yeah, they sometimes send in both tickets for both payments, both tickets, but one payment, and then forget about the other. So that's just some good news. I don't know if we need to single out anything else on this consent agenda. We are going to be, I'm going to be moving the approval of the sale of a surplus sale of a police vehicle. And there are invoices to pay. I don't think any of them are particularly noteworthy. If there are any questions about what you see here, please ask. Otherwise, I need the approval of consent agenda.
Are there any questions on anything on the consent agenda? No? All right.
Second.
So he's made the motion. I'll second. All in favor? You do have a couple finance things on the additional agenda.
Right, I meant to sweep them up in that.
Yeah, but you didn't. So let's just,
Let's see, so
we got one.
right, we've approved the hiring of the personnel, the
The,
enforcement officer.
Yep.
yep. So that one was done.
Anchor QEA.
The number 5 is the invoices, for Fabiano Creative. These are in addition to the ones that were on the consent agenda.
Where's our CEO on here? Just so I'm
Yeah.
Other stuff.
on the additional.
Yes.
But he moved to approve all 3 hiring.
He did in
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Assessor.
And then you separately did the, you put them on the consent agenda, all of them.
Well, actually, I pulled them out, and did them all. My intention was to single them out, get them all approved as personnel items. And I think we did that,
Okay.
The 3.
right?
All right. So that was fine with everyone. I don't know, since it was not really discussed, if anyone has any questions about the village assessor, though, I didn't know if anyone would, simply because we are heading into the busiest assessment season for the village. Our roll is due in January. There are meetings with people and the public throughout January into early February. The Board of Assessment Review, remember, is always like that third week in February. We have to sit here for 4 hours from 4 to 8 o'clock and listen to grievances. I was very, very worried about this position because obviously we had someone for 22 years in that position, and I was worried about the lack of continuity. But and we had like no applicants, so we actually went out and tried to recruit some people, and got a lot of good feedback from other assessors. What everyone should know is that Richard Maxwell is the town of Otsego assessor, so he knows our role. We're not 85% of the villages in the town of Otsego. But beyond that, he did the 2015 reval with Al, so he totally knows our assessing. So I just want everyone to feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
So
Okay, so now go on.
right, so to continue with items 5 and 10, on the supplemental agenda. Those are invoices for Fabiana Creative and Anchor. Anchor is the entity that's assisting with our 9E plan development. I will move the approval of those two invoices.
Second.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
Then we have for
Seven.
we're submitting for auction a 2018 Ford Taurus police vehicle. Now, this is the detail on what was on the consent agenda, and I just want to point that out. It's not a second item, it's the same item that was on the consent agenda. And then finally, so that doesn't need approval because we approved it, but I wanted to explain it. Number 8 is the cancer benefit program and the death benefit long-term disability basic plan, which we do approve, and the details of which are in here. I think the invoice is for,
It looks like this.
Yeah.
so our total is 7883.
No, it's 5,231.23.
For option 1.
We're option 1.
Okay.
It has 2 components.
Yep. So I will move the approval of that payment of $5,231.23 for option 1 estimated annual premium for firefighter.
Second.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
Right.
Abstain.
And I believe we've.
Yep.
everything.
Yeah, I'll catch the other 2 things later. Perfect. So motion, I think we've got it all now between the consent and that. Motion to accept the treasurers and finance report by Molly, second by Audrey, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, I'll cover some grants and projects update. And the first thing would be to, and it's in your additional agenda. You will find item 4, grants, approval to apply for grants. Cindy and I have been working very hard, I should point out, on the Climate Smart Community Grant with MVED, and there's just no way we would have gotten half the distance had it not been for the Mohawk Valley Economic Development District hiring someone who does nothing but help communities achieve these goals. And we've been submitting various components, and Samantha, has been inputting them into the online screen. At this point, it looks like we're going to have 142 points. Yay!
We need
Wait.
120.
We need 120, but they always discount sometimes as much as 20.
Yep.
So we'll still have a little breathing room and we'll get this. And what this does is open the door to grant possibilities that we can't get unless we're a climate smart community. But on your sheet, there is one that was mentioned this morning at our breakfast with the board, and that is the fact that Cooperstown will host the 2026 statewide Historic Preservation Conference, April 15th through the 17th. They'll obviously be at the Otasaga. And whenever there were some preliminary phone calls and discussions about this, asking if, they pursued this, would we like to be a host site? If you recall, it was Poughkeepsie last year. People are really excited to come to Cooperstown. But we must apply for a grant for the conference costs, and it's a pass-through grant. And the planning and budget will be run through the Landmark Society of Western New York. So is there a motion? Cindy, do you want to make the motion?
Yep.
To apply for the grant? Second by Molly, all in favor?
Aye.
Cindy, do you want to talk about the ARC since you've been sort of looking into that?
Yes, so we got a very late notification from the Otsego County Planning Department that ARC was reopening its grant portal because monies that had previously been distributed, it looked like weren't going to be able to be funded due to a variety of issues. But this is federal money. It's from the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, and this is the 2026 allocation. What they are asking for at this point is a letter of intent. So this isn't the full application at this point. You submit a letter of intent and then they let you know whether you can apply. So we had two ideas when I took them to the county and said, which do you think? They said both. So this is a motion to apply through the Infrastructure and Investment Job Acts to submit a letter of intent, both for our smart water meters and also for the second phase of that South End project, which involves Beaver Street.
There's the motion to apply for submit to ARC those two potential projects. Motion second by Molly. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
We just add one thing, it could come up in water and sewer, but that intent to apply for the grant for the new meters is gonna be a big help, I think, to every resident, because as it is now, we read meters quarterly, the bills go out, and if there has been some kind of breakdown or leak, it can go as long as a quarter of the year without being discovered. These new meters will be capable of identifying unusual water flows and provide the homeowner or property owner themselves the opportunity to monitor, but also the water department to monitor and note anomalies in water.
Well, will the meters themselves indicate that, hey, there's an anomaly going
Yeah.
on?
Mhm.
Oh,
Well,
What it is it's you can get a real-time reading. You know, and on average, people use X number of.
well, I'm saying the homeowner would not have to necessarily check the meter every.
right, I think there are triggers that
It's you can read it on your phone.
Well, what I'm getting at is,
Oh.
do you read it, or is the meter smart enough to say, hey, this doesn't look right? You need to
Yes.
fix this.
the latter.
The latter, okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
It compares your regular usage with an
Okay.
event. Right, so
That means you could find out
Yeah,
within
and
a day.
we get residents who have enormous water bills that are very we're highly constrained in adjusting, so this is gonna be good for everybody.
Let me do good for the snowbirds too.
mhm. All right. Under grants, continuing under grants and projects, Welcome Home Cooperstown. Big thank you to the Board of Trustees who sponsored the refreshments at last month's Welcome Home Cooperstown on November 4th. That was phenomenal.
It really
Boy, it featured the Filipino community for those who couldn't make it. And they came to sing and party and bring food and dance. Our refreshments provided by Mel's were gone within about 45 minutes. And that we had planned on, several edibles for 3 pans at least. We had like 5 pans and it was all gone. Their food was used up. It was fabulous. And I do want to thank the board members who did come support the event and also brought bottles of wine. And I had one panicked email because someone brought a very nice bottle of wine that needed a corkscrew. And of course, we didn't have one. I want you to know I went out and bought a friggin' corkscrew to put in the box. So we'll never run into that again. But we are in a few weeks. Well, we have Thanksgiving first, but before that, or after that, we have December 2nd, our last Welcome Home Cooperstown of the year. And it's called the Gingerbread Stroll on December 2nd. So it's really exciting. For the past couple of years, several of you may recall we would do meet and greet and stroll the street. Well, in a similar vein, we're doing the gingerbread stroll, much more activity. The village library will host crafts and a story time, and upstairs in the ballroom, the Friends of the Village Library will offer free gingerbread houses to be decorated from 3:30 to 5 while the supplies last. And families can also join Cooperstown Central School faculty and board members in decorating cookies. And on the first floor, the meet and greet will feature live music provided by Polly Messenger. The Cooperstown Art Association will open their holiday show and sale for special evening hours. And refreshments will be sponsored by Bassett Healthcare medical staff, recruitment team, and Stagecoach Coffee. And we'll also provide hot cocoa and cookies. And then there's a community fire pit, and then everyone's welcome to stroll the street in the Village Voices. I've already heard from several merchants who are so excited to get with their water bill the little gingerbread stroll advertisement. And I've been told that when people from the Welcome Home community went and asked if they would like to participate and stay open, they said, yes, I've already got this. I meant to get in touch with you. So the businesses will stay open till 7, quite a few of them, about 20, and they will have a gingerbread decal denoting which ones will be staying open. So all very exciting. Just so you know, Welcome Home Cooperstown takes January off. We don't have an event, but that's when we plan the entire year. So very exciting. We've got a lot of new people on that committee and just a wonderful, energizing thing. Nothing really to report. As we've covered already, we're trying to finalize based on the RFP, our New York Forward for those events. So funny, Cindy and I were commenting that if you recall, we applied for this grant in like 22, found out in 23, quickly had to do things. You know, they announced in 24 what the events were. We finally got a contract, in September with the state. And suddenly they're like, well, what have you done now? And we're like, it took you 4 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
But we hope to be really moving along pretty quickly on those now. That's great. Nothing new to report on the I&I study or the Restore New York. I have sent an email to New York State Parks because it was sort of the end of November into December. They thought they'd let us know about the success or not of our grant's location change. So I have yet to hear. So we're still on track, hopefully, to hear by the end of the year
Yeah.
whether that will happen or not. I should say that our Department of State Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan grant, that's the 9E plan. We had a contract with that is not that long ago. If you recall, we've been funding this project. The grant is valid back to April 1st, 2023. So it's let us get in 3 years of modeling and testing on Otsego Lake, but we've had no funds because we didn't have a contract until last year. Well, they said, well, you better apply to get those funds now. And it's like, they hold you up and hold you up. And then suddenly it's, you didn't do it yesterday. So I'm working on submitting about 250,000 of a cost that we have expended, some, and plus about 200,000 in matching that we had to match that also will be documented. So, and I have Jake, our watershed coordinator and inspector, sort of coordinating that with me. So all good. We'll be replenishing that supply. I think that's it. Moving on, Parks Board.
Parks Board. So not a lot to report. I would say the two things that we're still working on the survey that really should be going out. We wanted to get it out after Thanksgiving and keep it open until I think we decided mid-January. So hopefully we'll get that out very soon. The dog park, the question about what the school board.
I learned
You look-
only this past weekend that supposedly an email
Your
was sent
email.
to me on the 8th. I never received it,
Okay,
but I've spoken with the attorneys and what they are concerned with. They wanted to make sure the description we sent them, which is a survey description,
right,
is accurate. And also what they see nothing in the packet that shows anything about what the dog park will look like or be any artist renditions. I said, I will tell you, I told them that I didn't think we were quite at that point. We were just trying to verify if a dog park was acceptable to the school. So he was gonna take that and run with that. So I think I just never even knew I was waiting for something from him.
okay. So at this point, they will get back in touch with us to.
Well, I now have his, if I don't hear from them, I think they're gonna get back in touch with the school board.
They're gonna get back in touch with the school board and then hopefully we will hear from the school board.
Correct.
Okay, and they understand that we're not at the point to give them any sort of rendering or additional.
Because, yeah, I think he was taking that, he was one step. I'm not quite sure why he felt he needed to be opining as to what a rendering looked like.
Yeah.
We were just asking,
About the
could
use of the.
could it be used
Right.
for that?
Right,
Well, part of if we go back to the letter that you sent, it included a baseball field rendering, not a dog park rendering. So that may have been part of the.
I was trying to show him my decision that what was, where the area was and so on.
yeah,
So there are 3 permanent easements that are involved, one of which is not involved in the dog park. It's an underground drainage easement. And then 0.22 acre and roughly 1.1 acre parcel that are permanent easements.
Right, so to be clear, I mean, my approach to this would have been, I would have preferred if we could have gotten a understanding collectively of what they were asking about. It seemed like a mixed question on policy. And if we could have gotten together to come up with a response, we might have been more informative to explain the park policy side of things. That didn't happen, but in the meantime, your point, Martin, about the subterranean easement, who knows what the scale of this project could be? It would certainly be interested to know what the, whether if we needed that portion that is covered by the underground easement, when you amend that easement.
So the top of the ground there is a grate. It's where the drainage from the
Snow
from,
melt.
yeah, that and the water that accumulates on the macadam is taken care of and then gradually released back into the environment through that. It's not a grassy area at all.
Okay.
so presumably it's not something that would be disturbed by a dog park.
No, I don't think you'd be.
In one
on
of the
it.
earliest permutations, the design that was shown, that was done by a prior Parks Board member, was on that drainage area. But Joe has now shown the boundary of the school property,
Right.
and that does not include that drainage area.
Got it,
So
okay,
the unanswered question, but I'm still not clear on, that drainage area is a school property, it's not a park property.
Yeah, it's.
It,
So the question is, if the original, if a design of a dog park could be overlaid on that drainage easement, then
It's
the
in
question would
macadam.
it's all macadam.
That is my recall, and we had a big go-round because we were, back when that was being built. There was a concern by the town board, we had to get town planning approval because that was in the town. About water accumulation and where it was going, so the engineers developed that. Underground retention area, but it is fed by the grading there along.
And that's different, just so I can understand. That's not the snow shelter area where the village drops its snow. That's another.
It's up
Sock-
closer
sock.
by the school.
Right, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I guess one thing I would like to keep in mind is if for some reason this manages to progress and a design comes up that could somehow take advantage of some of that area that's got an underground easement on it, would we want to approach the school for a surface use in consistent with the dog park? That's all.
What happens where that grading is, cars parked there. I mean, cars
Okay, so
park over it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's really all that I had.
I have a question. for
Yeah.
you. What are the plans for the skating rink in Badger Park?
Oh, I think work is progressing on that. I think that they were talking about putting the boards up and then rolling out the liner at some point.
Is there
did
any
they-
possibility of getting like a 5-year review of how many days a year that's open?
It was actually
Well-
opened a lot last year.
Was it a lot last
Yeah.
year? Okay.
I couldn't, a lot, and maybe isn't that?
Well,
I don't know what a lot means. I talked to somebody, I mean, I played hockey, so I sort of like the idea of a
of
skating
course.
rink. Not that I can do it anymore. And I talked to somebody who actually floods their backyard and creates a skating rink for his kid to play in the village. And the comment was, we have it a bit more, but it's getting harder and harder every
It
year
is.
to
It
do.
is.
So I think at some point, we need to seriously look at whether the expense is worth what we're getting out of it. Especially if it's a random day here or there, it's not going to generate that much skating.
It was great skating last year when we had that freezing cold temperature.
Okay,
And I think we do have a dedicated group of
volunteer.
friends, volunteers
Okay,
who
Give
commit
it-
to that.
Given that there is no indoor rink and easy driving, I, as a figure skater, really appreciate having Badger Park, so.
Okay.
But yes, I
we
mean,
should
we're
keep a
really
hash
fine.
mark of how many days.
Yeah, right, yeah,
When
right.
we were kids, we were out there every day.
Yeah.
Okay, as you said, last year was good, but I remember a couple of years where we got 4 or 5
Yeah,
days in.
that's true.
Yeah.
One
Just
year, I
to-
think we got 2 days.
To put this in
Yeah.
perspective, the total parks winter recreation budget, if I'm reading it correctly, was $6,706.
I'm just asking.
So,
I just want to get a handle on it because, and if it doesn't cost much to do it, then it doesn't, and
I think it's
volunteers are doing it, it doesn't matter.
It's a really nice thing for the village to have.
I'm not
and
saying-
Warming hut and the skates that are there and the hockey sticks for people to use. I
Okay.
personally.
Before we move off parks, I do want to ask about your, Audrey, you mentioned that trustee Joe Mambrito did a draft letter for the Parks Board to review before sending. Who's that to?
That was, I believe, to the school board or because we hadn't
We hadn't
heard
heard-
back what their
We heard-
response was to Martin's letter. So I think there was a concern that why aren't we hearing back from them? Should we write to them? Did not find anywhere because we did not actually have the letter for the Parks Board to review. And then as it turns out, we understand that there was absolutely no additional communication that at least came to light. So, and now
the mission was accomplished.
the mission has been accomplished. That letter is not an issue.
Okay, so it's irrelevant. Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right. A motion to accept the Parks Board report?
wow, what was that?
I don't
It's just
know.
somebody's paper.
What was it?
That may have been, getting in my.
It may-
Oh,
And it did what?
You hit me.
Oh, about, you did, yeah, I said I did it.
that's a-
May I, I will say about the letter, it may be something that we need to discuss with the attorney for the school, because that letter really set out the legal position as opposed to.
I disagree with that legal position, Joe. I really do.
Well,
We don't own that land. We don't own it. We have a prescriptive right. I'll be happy to go over the definition of that prescriptive easement.
well, it's
But-
not prescriptive, because that's something that we obtain by adverse possession.
We didn't
No, of course we don't.
obtain
No, we
it.
purchased the easement. All I'm trying to say is, we have a view of what I have a view of what the terms mean. We can take a position that meets the objectives of.
But I just would like to be
Before-
involved with that.
Yes, I would love it. I mean,
All right.
because it's a mixed question of law. and
Joe,
policy.
I have the floor.
Sure.
Before any letter goes out in the name of this board, the entire village board needs to review and approve it.
Absolutely.
So that is it.
Want to add that had the Parks Board looked at the letter and decided it was a good thing to send out, it was not my intention to send it out without first discussing it.
All right, so that would be the next step.
Right.
Yep, thank you. So I think I made them ask for the motion to accept the Parks Board report. And second by Cindy, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Audrey.
Sure.
Moving on, community and environment minutes attached. I was thinking, Cindy, we could jump back to number 6 on the additional agenda.
Yes.
And that is one of those little hoops that we're jumping through for the climate smart community application.
Yes, so you probably all are aware, because you have seen and used them, that we have recycling containers throughout our village spaces here in this building and in other spaces as well. Climate smart community requires a little more than just placing the bin. They require that the bins have a poster that says what can go in them. As of this morning, there is now a poster on the bins that says what can go in them, in case you were confused by the idea of recycling. I've assured the folks in the library that we do actually recycle. When I was told this morning that when they put things in there, it just gets thrown in the trash. No, we do in fact recycle. And the last step is for the Board of Trustees to send an email to our employees and to our volunteers and to other building users, encouraging them to use the blue bins that now have posters on them telling you what you can put in them. So you have a draft of that here. Ellen and I thought it would be best if it came from the entire Board of Trustees, and this will become part of our packet to submit to Climate Smart Communities.
Any questions or comments? So this is in your packet,
Basically,
looks like
stuff.
this.
Yeah, the only thing I will say, the food and beverage cans, but all of that has to be clean.
Yes,
So
it
I
does.
wasn't sure if you were just referring to the aluminum foil.
Yeah, maybe I should just add clean at the beginning of the sentence.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah.
It can be very confusing what is recycled.
No, it can definitely. And I think as much as mixed recycling is a great thing, it can make it more confusing as to what you can put in the blue bin.
Styrofoam?
No,
No, I know, but reuse takes styrofoam, so we could encourage any styrofoam products.
yes, and
Brought to reuse in Oneonta.
and
I
we
mean, it's-
we do that on our website. There's a list of all of the
Places.
other things, styrofoam, toothpaste.
But our
tubes.
offices should also be doing that
Yeah, they should.
with styrofoam.
Yeah.
Cindy, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Is there any other number of plastic beyond 1 through 7?
There is like an unknown number. There is a
Infinity?
there is a no number, and we don't do that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments, recommendations for wording change? No? I move that the Board of Trustees approve this email to be sent to staff, volunteers, and committee members. Second by Molly. All in favor?
And the other thing that I want to point out on the second page of the minutes under next steps, and I will tell you that these minutes were in part generated by AI and revised by me. You'll note under next steps, it says Shelby conduct tree walk during film days. Shelby McLeish did a wonderful tree walk during film days. That was important because our tree planting grant requires public programming related to trees. So Shelby did the first part of that. Jeff is going to do the second part of it.
Jeff?
O'Hanley.
I'm sorry, who's Jeff?
He's also at OCCA, O'Hanley.
Okay.
But we're very pleased that OCCA partnered with us to provide the programming and to submit the grant because we couldn't have submitted it without them. And they will be sending us an invoice when their programming is over and we will reimburse them with grant funds.
Fabulous.
That's great.
Yeah, and it was nice to have that incorporated with at least the tree walk with film days.
Yes.
It just made a multitude of wonderful events.
How many people went?
It doesn't look from the photos that I got like it was a huge number of people, although I was told that the forester from Syracuse University was among the participants in the walk. Yes,
That's great.
yeah.
Fabulous. All right, so no further questions, comment, motion to accept the Community Environment Committee minutes by Audrey, second by Molly, all in favor?
Aye.
Water and Sewer Board.
There are no action items. One of the things that was noted at the meeting was the low lake level, and happily this precipitation is bringing it up considerably from where it was, but our water treatment plant operator says we still have a long way to go to get the lake recovered to where he would like to see it. But in the meantime, we are still meeting all our metrics for our permits for both water treatment and wastewater discharge.
Great.
All right. Just so everyone knows, for some reason, this has been a difficult board to keep staff this year. Unfortunately, we had one longtime member pass away. One longtime member resigned. And so we have been functioning at a slightly limited number. We did get a new alternate on there. But Ann Brown, who has served on that committee for quite a while and been really helpful. Anders said he would be greatly miss her, but she has submitted her resignation effective at the end of this year. She has some family commitments that she just feels she can't tie up a day when she might need to travel. So we will be back to no alternates. Right now, though, until she leaves, we do have a first alternate. There is a vacancy and a second alternate. I would like to appoint Gary Cook to the second alternate position, but this would require an approval of the board to approve that appointment, and I would abstain from it, but I put that name forward.
So
Joe? Second by Cindy. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, and I will abstain there. So we have a full board for 1 month. So if you have any other recommendations for someone to serve on water and sewer, Joe thinks it's a great committee to serve on.
Great committee.
staff are the top notch.
It doesn't smell bad.
We accepted that report, right, Jenna?
No.
No? All right, motion to accept Water and Sewer Board report by George, second by Audrey, all in favor?
Aye.
You we didn't have water.
No.
Yeah, watershed, the market absent. I haven't gotten all of the.
And, okay, All right.
I had a question about watershed supervisory committee. Because I'm getting different perspectives from different
It
people.
was at 10 at one point, but it's. down.
What is it supposed to do, and does it have any authority other than what it gets from us?
Yeah, it's not as, what shall I say? The village is the one who has $1 million worth of grants funding the Upstate Freshwater Institute, 3 years of modeling. We're the ones who signed the contract with Anchor QEA, which is the group that is working to create the 9E plan. So we are very much involved in it. And that was the grant that I was saying that we're applying for, about over $200,000 in expenses for potential reimbursement. So
But my question is, my understanding is the Watershed Supervisory Committee is really an advisory committee to us, to the Board of Trustees. They don't have any independent power to do anything.
They do have independent power to do something.
What do they have the independent power to do?
They have the independent power to approve septic systems, on-site septic systems within the watershed.
That's pursuant to our authority.
What?
That's pursuant to the authority granted to us by state law and regulation.
Right, so the authority is granted to us, but our local law gives them the authority to do that without our further action.
Okay.
they have the sole authority, she's correct, to approve those.
Thank you.
All right. And under new business, we have the request from Cheryl Wright for the village to pay for tree removal expenses due to a village tree that fell on her home at 16 Lakeview Drive North. Was there an exact amount? I was a little confused by some of the invoices. Was there, Jenna,
Invoice for, the insurance covered so much, the difference is $2,309. She's requesting the difference of the insurance today.
2,390?
Maybe it's, yeah.
No, that's
Was there damage to the home?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, the bill was 10,530, I believe.
Oh, okay, I see it right there.
Yeah. And the invoice was just for everybody's.
Yep.
To see how much she had.
Okay, Richard, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the $2,390. Is that the right number?
Yes.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Wow.
I'm a good person, aren't I? Upcoming meetings, breakfast with the board, Monday, December 15th from 8 a.m. to 9. And board of trustee meeting is again, Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m.
I'm gonna
Yes.
just ask this again. I already asked Richard. That is the first day of Hanukkah.
Oh.
I don't know if that is a concern for,
I don't think it's a concern for anybody else in this room.
no, and you said it
No,
was.
but I know we changed it one time and then we changed it.
The only ones, and even I'll miss this, the only days that really matter are Rosh Hashanah and Yom
Yom
Kippur.
Kippur.
Everything else, doesn't matter.
I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware
Mhm.
that was that.
All
day.
right. So there's an executive session?
Yes, for.
Oh, yep, okay. So we'll close this meeting and motion to move to executive
And motion to adjourn. Thank you.
I know, I think this looks very.